Professor Nanda's lecture on the image of a global woman, and here he will tell us how much time, Professor Prohit? Professor Nanda will speak 20 to 25 minutes? Okay. Yes, now I request in this session, it is a special session we have organized. We have Prashant Bokade sir also, he is Vice Chancellor, Gondwana University. He had to come yesterday, but because of some unavoidable reason, he could not reach on time. So today, he is with us in this special session. A warm welcome to you, sir. Now, I request Professor Nanda, please you start your lecture. Yes, sir, Professor Nanda. Sir, your voice is not audible to us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, sir. Absolutely fine.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm delighted, honored to be with you. And thank you very much for your very kind introduction. I knew that Professor Srekha Gangwal was going to be presiding, and wherever she is, my regards to her and to the respected participants in this very special, in this very thoughtful, and very critical conference that you have. Because I wish that I could participate in the entire conference, but here it's night, and where I was earlier, it would have been 11:30 at night, but I'm in Denver today, so it's 9:30 in the evening at night, and I'm looking forward to being with you for the next 20 minutes. I am grateful to Dr. Lina Gahane for including me in this conference, and I'm privileged and honored to speak in this very important issue because there has been a great deal of misinformation and disinformation and distortion about the status of women in Bharat. And to put a proper perspective is absolutely essential because we don't need to have narrative through somebody else's and especially the Western prism. We need to have the proper perspective presented. And I'm delighted looking at the speakers, looking at the agenda, looking at the topics. It is such a comprehensive area that you're discussing today. My topic is going to be only on the role and status of women across the globe. And I'm aware of what special status Indian women had, Bhartiya women had in ancient India, in every sphere of life, politics, spiritual, economic, diplomatic, they played an active part. But that's not the topic that I'll be touching. I can think of and plenty of them who have played such an incredible role in Bharat and not only in Bharatiya politics and economy, but around the globe. But today my topic is simply going to be about what has happened around the globe today about the status of women. I intend in the next few minutes to look at some landmarks that happened during that time. It all began the modern movement on human rights with the United Nations in 1945. And from the United Nations Charter and later on the Beijing Conference, this conference, World Conference on Women, where we had land-breaking, groundbreaking, visionary agenda. And at the same time, they had a very comprehensive blueprint for action. and I'll be talking about that. And from Beijing Conference, starting with the United Nations Charter to Beijing Conference, and after that, I'll be looking at Millennium Development Goals. These are the goals that were set in 2000. And the thought was that from 2000 to 2015, one of those goals was that women should have equal status with men, there should be women empowerment, there should be gender equality. And that goal did not get met until 2015. After 2015, then there are now sustainable development goals. And those goals are 193 countries at the UN summit. They all agreed that one of those goals again, and that goal is gender equality, women empowerment, that it must be met by 2030. I will later on describe, but at this stage, I simply want you to know that that goal is not being met. And at the present time, in the political arena, in the economic arena, women are discriminated around the world. And they are not only not equal, but at the present time, it will take many decades before they can reach that equality with men. So let me just simply begin, and I want to begin with the UN Charter because the United Nations was established after the end of Second World War, and the thought simply was on war and peace. But at the same time, the United Nations Charter did have one of the goals is to affirm and reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person. And here is important part, in the equal rights of men and women. Article 1.3 of the Charter talked about the purposes of the United Nations. The purpose is to promote respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religion. And all kind of measures that ought to be taken by governments in order to make sure that women are empowered and that there is no violence against women. So wonderful ideas. But then, despite the fact that that convention today is ratified by most countries, that women's rights and women's status around the globe is still not where it ought to be. So let's begin with one of the landmarks, as that is the Beijing Women Conference, World Conference on Women, 1995, 27 years, and they had many areas of concern about women, women and poverty, education and training of women, women and health, violence against women, women and armed conflict, women and the economy, and so on, human rights of women, women and the environment. And it was wonderful to have that is the labor force participation. That is in Northern Africa, Southern Asia, Western Asia. There is a commission on the status of women, and that reported, and that was 15 years after that in 2015. It said almost 15 years after the Millennium Development Goals were adopted. It said no country, not even one, has achieved equality for women and girls, and significant levels of inequality between women and men persist. The Commission also reported that, and I want to quote it, progress has been slow. Persistent gender disparities in some regions, in secondary and tertiary education enrollment, lack of economic empowerment, autonomy and independence for women, including a lack of integration into the formal economy, unequal access to full and productive employment and decent work, lack of equal pay for equal work or work of equal value. One striking omission in the Millennium Development Goal was that they did not pay attention to the persistent issue of violence against women. So 2015 came, and then finally the thought was that we should have, although the goal is not met, maybe in the next 15 years, from 2015 to 2030, we should make an effort in order to reach those goals. The goal was also ending poverty, but one of those main goals was that there should be women empowerment, there should be gender equality. And after reviewing their commitment, and that commitment was to sustainable development and to ensuring the promotion of an economically, socially, environmentally sustainable future. So these are the three aspects to it: economic, social, environmental, and for the planet, and for present and future generations. And they thought that insufficient progress had been made in the past. There had been setbacks, and that there ought to be an effort made, bold effort, in order to see that men and women, that there is some equality The goal was achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. It they had targets, and those targets were ending all forms of discrimination against women and girls everywhere, eliminating all forms of violence against all women and girls. And I simply want to very quickly mention to you that what has really happened is in the past that many efforts have been made by the General Assembly, by the United Nations on women, by UN Women, an organization that has been working on the rights of women. But the answer simply is that there has been a very slow progress on the broader political last 3 years because of the COVID. At times there has been not simply progress but regression. And that regression has been unfortunately responsible for one step forward and another step back. On the status of women again said that there are problems in many areas. There is a legal policy frameworks that have not really responded. There is a gender responsive approach to public finances. And as you probably know, there are many countries at the present time where there are basic problems and challenges for women. In many Muslim countries, a man can simply say to a woman 3 times, I divorce thee, I divorce thee, I divorce thee, and that suffices. And at the same time, women don't have inheritance rights. Children cannot inherit from a woman. In many countries, Qatar today, where you have a football, today world football going on, and in that country, you need a man to provide some kind of guidance to women. And there is going to be no women rights in order to even have their own, at least freedom to take any decisions. Decisions have been taken with men. And in many Muslim countries, that is the story at the present time. I think I like to bring to your attention in the next 5 minutes that I have, and I like to give you the latest figures on the status of women around the world. Kindly bear with me, I'll just get the. Let me start with the political agenda. At the present time, its latest figures are from 19 September 2022, just about 2 months ago. There are 28 countries where at the present time you have women heads of state or heads of government. Out of 193 countries, 28 countries have women at the top. Then only 21% of government ministers are women. I'll just simply have a few things for you. 26% of all national parliamentarians are women. 26%. And only 5 countries have where you have at the present time 50% are more women in parliament. 27 countries have reached now 40%. But that is the story of that. And many of these countries, 2/3, they have now applied gender quotas in order to make some kind of progress. And the amazing part is that if the present progress continues, and think about it, it will be 2063, more than 40 years, before you can see that in parliament there would be at least 40 to 50%. And if you think in the political setting, heads of states and governments, it will be 2077, more than 50 years from today, if the present trends continue, that there might be some effort in order to see that women have got at least equality status. Let me briefly mention to you in management what's happening at the present time. And I'll conclude in 2 or 3 more minutes. That's the end of my time. 26% of CEOs and managing directors are women. At the present time, look at percent of women in senior management position. In Africa, 39%. Southeast Asia, 38%. Continuing on, Asia Pacific, 28%. And if you're looking at executives, it's 23% are women, in senior management, 29%, managers, 37%. I know that these statistics at times, eyes glaze over, but I think we might at least look at the numbers. Percentage of women in management, in India it's 10%, South Korea 8%, in Russia 6%, Pakistan 4%. And in Europe you have at the present time, at least in a couple countries, in Sweden 43%, in Netherlands, Norway, then France, European Union, you've got a pretty good percentage at the present time. And if you look at the United States, then there are 24% of women are at the present time at the top, but women of color, these are non-white. And kindly keep in mind, 4% only at the present time are at the top. In a senior vice president role, 27% are women, only 5% women of color. Vice presidents, 30% all women, 7% women of color, and then on and on. But entry level, all women are 48%, women of color are 17%. And I have figures here for all countries and all areas. I think I'll conclude by simply saying that compared with ancient Bharat, when women had a place of eminence, a place of respect, a place where they could play active role and a prominent role in every aspect of life. Unlike that today, around the globe, women are discriminated against, women are suffering from violence, and women at the present time are not treated properly. Sustainable development goals, in order to meet them, women must have proper place both in politics and in the economic sphere. And I think the point simply is that I did not talk about family. I did not talk about their wonderful traits that bring about not simply wonderful emotions, but at the same time, unfortunately, on the issue of war and peace, in a diplomatic setting, women have got very, very little role to play. I wish they could play a more important role. If they were at the present time in power, my own feeling is that probably these conflicts may not be as intense, and there may be more possibility of reconciliation, because that's the nature of women. So my utmost gratitude to be part of this wonderful conference. And please put the proper perspective. I'm glad that you're putting that narrative so that that misinformation and disinformation and all this kind of phobia about women's role, that goes away. Thank you very much. Sadar namaskar to everyone.
Thank you so much, Professor Nanda. It's really insightful deliberation, well researched, well documented, and as he said that all the data collected worldwide about the status of women out of family, and a very, very alarming situation is there. The positive things are also there, but the grim situation is, especially for the students, if you think that Europe and America are doing wonders in terms of women emancipation, you are at mistake or you are at confusion. As he said that I personally feel, and we all feel through this conference, this conference will be a memorable one in future, as we all are working very hard to find out a solution. As climate change is having a solution worldwide, our Honorable Prime Minister said, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one family, one future, one solution. I think the whole world will be looking at us for the solution of women empowerment and gender equality, because the solution is there already. Since yesterday, we have been talking about what is the status of women 10,000 years back, what is the status of women in our Vedic literature, and different kind of papers are being presented here talking about the status of women. And I feel that the solution is there already. We are talking about the gender equality since ages in the form of Ardhanarishwar, in the form of our scriptures and books. So let us hand in hand go for the solution, as Professor Nanda was talking about, that if we want a 50% or equal representations in parliament and in government, it will take another 30 to 35 years in 2063. If you want the equal status of women in every term, you have to wait for at least another 50 years, and that too when we will be making all the efforts every day. So you already expressed the things about management, women in management, 10% in India, and Sweden is really doing so well, 43% there, and 24% in management top position in USA. But the discrimination with women in color, that is the black woman or African American woman, the discrimination is very, very clearly there. So women are being discriminated on the basis of their color, on the basis of their status in the society. The different strata of societies are there. So the developed countries, what is the parameter of measuring them as a developed country when the status of woman is not so good there? We are, in that sense, today is our Constitution Day, and I extend a very hearty congratulations on this special day, expressing our gratitude to all our great masters who wrote this great book, this book of rules for us, and giving us equal status since 1950. We did not fight for our right to vote. We did not fight for so many things what other European country fought for the long time, and then they got it. It was a history of a struggle for women worldwide. So in that sense, women, and why it happened in the Constitution, because it is already there since Vedic period. So when they started, the Constituent Assembly started working on the equal status, it was not very difficult for them. They could think about it. We are grateful to them. But because India is having a heritage, a very strong cultural heritage, giving equal status to women. So I feel this conference and what Professor Nanda is talking about, 193 countries and 28 countries are head of the state, women head of the state. And USA is struggling so hard to have a woman as a head of the state. So lot of discrimination is there. Whenever there comes, like, since their independence, they don't have a woman president even today. And we are having not only prime minister, people can say that it is the dynasty daughters politics in Asian countries, be it Sri Lanka or be it Bangladesh or be it India or be it Pakistan, because the dynasty daughters are ruling. Yes, that is there, that is the one point there. But when we see the head of the state in the sense of Rashtrapati, so we are having today Draupadi Murmuji coming from so much of humble background. So much of humble background. It is not easy for a woman coming without dynasty in a public politics. But in India, the women are marching very, very fast on the track, on the highways of public life, politics, economics, management, education, society. In every sphere of life, the women of India are doing very well. So I request all the, especially this is my not only advice but request to my students, especially girls, that the space is yours, and these kind of conferences always encourage you to do wonders, because the parents are there, the society is there, the women at the front who have done such a struggle. Yesterday you have heard that how hard they have done. We are having Shanti Akkaji, Sharad Renuji, Alka Tai, Madhuri Marathe ji, all the Vice Chancellors, Sita ji, Leena ji. It was not easy for them in that age, in what age they are today. But they worked very hard. And for you, science is there, technology is there, Government of India is there with their Nari Shakti Yojana, with their lot of Yojana we were discussing about. Do it in science, do it in technology, do it in society and social sciences. The space is for the girl child. That is in the priority. So I'm very, very confident. After listening the well-researched deliberation from Professor Nanda talking about 1995 World Conference on Women, Beijing Declaration, lot of wonderful promises done but not accomplished. The targets are even today till 2015, and after that even today, the world over target is how to end up all kind of discrimination against girls, against women. Legal parity framework must be there. Gender responsible finances are there. And Uttarakhand is a state where we are having a gender budget, a special gender budget. We are having lot of government schemes in the name of Gaura Devi. We are having, this state is a state, a woman-oriented state. The DNA is very, very different, as Honorable Governor said yesterday. Very powerful women from a humble background, and they have changed history. Whenever there is some kind of change, the women are the flag bearers. And yesterday he said that today we are here on this dais because of the sacrifices made by the women for the separate state of Uttarakhand. Hansa Dhana is there. सीधे यहाँ पे गोली लगी थी. बेलमती शाह is there. lot of women are there जिन्होंने सीधे गोली खाई और उसके बाद ये स्टेट हमको मिला एक सेपरेट स्टेट के रूप में. So we are lucky to have this conference in Doon University, and yesterday Shanti Akka ji has given us a confidence that as this bridging declaration is there, from today there will be a Doon University declaration about women. We will come to like that, and I'm very, very confident, and Professor Nanda has also shown faith in the cultural heritage of India and telling that yes, we will come with a solution, and India will lead as far as this gender equality and discrimination. The data is here, not very good situation. It is a grim situation, as he has presented everything in a very fine shape that we cannot, just discuss. 21st century women are there, the equal platform. We cannot talk like this. Data is there that only 5% countries are there जहाँ पे 50% parliamentarian. I think Germany is one of them. 50% parliamentarian are there in the parliament, and the situation is 21% and 20% and 10% and 5%, and some of the country he has cited example where women cannot go without men. He has cited example for teen talaq, and we are again very grateful to Government of India to make a law for this teen talaq and end the discrimination of Muslim women only on the basis of their religious practice or Sharia. Now all these things, thank you so much, Professor Nanda. If anyone, any student want to ask any question, or any of the participant want ask any question. No questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
Delighted to answer any question.
Professor Prashant, you just come here. Can you?
Professor Nanda, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Professor Nanda, you have quoted lot many statistics and all that regarding the state of women all over the world. Most of the statistics were in the form of quantity. I would like to know whatever you have quoted in terms of quality of condition of women in those countries. Particularly, Madam has rightly cited the example of Germany. What exactly is the state of women in all those developed countries as compared to India?
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for asking that question. It's an important one. Unfortunately, at the present time, even in the so-called developed countries, there isn't a whole lot of change. I remember teaching in France, teaching in many European countries, and everywhere I wanted to ask them the status of women, and especially my women colleagues who were teaching. And I unfortunately have to mention to you that not one country that I found where women were treated properly. I think Sweden was probably one country where I was there several times, but I haven't heard many difficulties and challenges and problems that they face, but not many countries. But I'm very happy to tell you that at the present time, at least in our own law schools, universities, we have women who are playing a very, very important role. I have in my law school today, this time I was teaching international human rights law, and I had 26 LLM and JD students. And I need to tell you, along with that, I permit PhD and MA students from our Graduate School of International Studies, and I put them law and policy together, all of them. And for this class that has just ended, and I can share that with you, that the best students in that class were women. And at the present time, I'm grading them, and those grades show, fortunately, in one way or the other, that these women are the ones who are better students than men. And I also am the faculty advisor of our own Denver Journal of International Law and Policy. And this time, among the editorial staff, my editors, there's only one man and 7 women who are the editors of that Denver Journal of International Law and Policy. And I looked at them and I said, why do you have that showman here? So that is the setting. So women at the present time are playing a very, very active role in the university life. We had a woman chancellor. I have the provost, who is a woman at the present time. My dean was a woman. For many years, I was the vice chancellor. And all the people who worked with me, my directors, my associate vice chancellor, they were all women, and enjoyed working with them. So I think in answer to your question, unfortunately, in many developed countries, the status of women is not what it ought to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Nanda. Now, you have to speak something. Yeah, yeah. We have just 10 minutes. Okay. Yes. Now we have Professor Prashant Bokare.
You are muted. Professor, you are muted. Kindly unmute yourself.
Now we have
Thank
Professor
you.
Prashant Bokare, Vice Chancellor, Gondwana University. In this session, he'll be talking about status of women.
Yeah.
Actually, okay. Yes. उनको सुनाई दे रहा है इनकी speech?
Thank you, Dr. Dangwal, and thank you, Dr. Nanda, for wonderful address throwing light on the state of women all over the world. I am highly thankful to Dr. Ujjwala Chakradev, Vice Chancellor of SNDT University, for inviting me over here, along with Dr. Leena Gahane, who is present over here, and a few of the Vice Chancellors from my area. Dr. Phadnavis is also present over here. Shantakka ji is also present over here. Namaste, pranam. I had a privilege to have my residence near the residence of Vandaniya Lakshmibai Kelkar in Wardha, and that's why I feel myself very lucky to have played with her grandson and had acquainted her son also. And then I will specially acknowledge the presence of 4 Durgas from my university, Dr. Band, Dr. Ninave, Dr. Gedam, and Dr. Vadai, who has travelled all along from Gadchiroli to Dehradun, and I think they will be the torch bearers in Gondwana University now onwards. At the outset, I apologize because I couldn't attend yesterday's wonderful sessions because of some of the glitches in airline kind of issues, and there also what I always say that women are always empowered. मेरे साथ डॉक्टर उज्ज्वला चक्रदेव जी थी. She could make it to the flight and I couldn't. So you can see the kind of generosity that is being extended to Indian women, and that's really a welcoming trend. I have been given 10 minutes and I think I have already consumed 2 minutes in opening remarks. So I will beg pardon if I extend my talk by another 2-3 minutes more. So far as the state of women is concerned, I always think of the women who are not in the forefront of all these movements. Women lib and all that is going on, but when I look at the women who are in real term downtrodden, I had been to Chhattisgarh rural areas and forests and jungles and have seen the condition of women over there, and now I am at Gadchiroli and seeing the state of the women who are from tribal origin and who are from vigilante origin, and we cannot even imagine the kind of suffering they are going. But at the same time, they are also doing wonders gradually. The Gondwana University has started few of the efforts in dealing with the issues of these women, and we found that women are already on the forefront of the what we say the development agenda. I will just cite 2 or 3 examples and then will conclude my speech with what exactly are the needs for the upliftment of these women. We have a village named Menda Lekha. You all must have heard about it. Menda Lekha is a village around 20 kilometers from Gadchiroli, the district place of Gadchiroli district. And the women over there have really played a wonderful role in bringing about the de-addiction in the society. You must have heard about the Gram Sabhas and all that. Gram Sabha has come into existence due to the PESA Act. PESA Act was passed by the Indian Parliament in 1996, and now all the tribal areas are being governed by these Gram Sabhas. Earlier, these Gram Sabhas used to have their Sabhas and they didn't have women in their Gram Sabhas, and that's why the decisions were, what we call it, the eccentric decisions. Once the team led by Devaji Tofa met the women over there and requested them to participate in the Gram Sabha, and the women said no. The men over there are highly drunken, they use abusive languages, and that's why we won't participate in the Gram Sabha. The answer was blunt and everybody was stunned. And then it was thought in the Gram Sabha, let us bring about the de-addiction, and women took the lead in that. They tried to convince the people who were selling liquor in the village. उन्होंने उनको कहा कि देखिए आपके जो पुरखे थे वो तो शराब नहीं बेचते थे, आप क्यों बेचते हो? उन्होंने कहा ये तो हमारा रोजी रोटी का मामला है, आप इसको कैसे बंद करोगे? तो और ये अगर बंद करेंगे तो दूसरा हमारे पास रोज़गार क्या है? तो इन्होंने उनको रोज़गार दिया जंगल से माइनर फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस कलेक्ट करने। 3 महीना लगा इनको कन्विंस करने में। ये वीमेन took 3 months to convince them कि डोंट सेल लीकर। अब लीकर बेचना बंद हुआ 3 महीने बाद, लेकिन पीने वाले तो पी रहे थे, वो किसी और गांव में जाते और वहाँ से पी के चले आते। प्रॉब्लम वॉज नॉट सॉल्व। देन इट टुक अनदर 6 months for the men in the village to take oath that they will not drink liquor. उनको फिर कैसे किया गया, तो उनके माँ बहनों को समझाया गया। कोई पी के आता था तो वो बेटी, वो बहन, वो माँ, वो बहू, वो टोकती थी, रोज टोकती थी। इट टुक 6 months फॉर देम एंड अल्टीमेटली 1 साल लगा ग्राम सभा को ये ठहराव लेने के लिए कि गांव में कोई शराब बेचेगा नहीं और गांव में शराब कोई पिएगा नहीं। इट वॉज नॉट टेकन बाई जिसको कहते हैं बहुमत। वो बहुमत के वोट से नहीं हुआ, वो सार्वमत से हुआ। गांव की 100% लोगों ने कहा कि गांव में शराब बेची भी नहीं जाएगी और पी भी नहीं जाएगी। 1 साल तक उन महिलाओं ने वेट किया एंड अल्टीमेटली दे वर विक्टोरियस। They came out with such a good decision, which was a unanimous decision of the Gram Sabha, and the liquor was banned in Lekha Menda. Lekha Menda is right now totally de-addicted village. कोई वहाँ शराब बेचता नहीं, कोई शराब पीता नहीं। फिर महिलाओं ने ग्राम सभा में हिस्सा लेना शुरू किया। महिलाओं की संख्या 67% है उस गाँव में। अब 67% महिलाओं ने जब ग्राम सभा में हिस्सा लेना शुरू किया तो इट प्लेड वंडर्स। ग्राम सभा, आपको जानकर खुशी होगी, उस गांव की सारी ज़मीन जो है लोगों ने ग्राम सभा को डोनेट कर दिया। नाउ ग्राम सभा लुक्स आफ्टर द एग्रीकल्चर, और डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोड्यूस कैसे होता है? जिसकी ज़मीन ज़्यादा है उसको ज़्यादा नहीं मिलता है, जिसके घर से सबसे ज़्यादा लेबर आएगा उसको मिलता है। और सबसे ज़्यादा लेबर कहाँ से आएगा? जहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा सदस्य है। तो जहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा सदस्य है वहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा अनाज मिलता है, जहाँ सबसे कम सदस्य है वहाँ कम अनाज मिलता है। यह महिलाओं ने लिया हुआ निर्णय है। तो भूख की समस्या खत्म हो गई गाँव की, बिकॉज एवरीबडी वॉज गेटिंग वॉट एवर इज नीडेड। ये एक उदाहरण हुआ कि, और वहाँ पे फिर सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप शुरू हुए। नंदाजी दुग्गा के नेतृत्व में सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप शुरू हुए। सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप ने ये डिसाइड किया कि ग्राम सभाओं में जो भी निर्णय होगा उसमें बाहर का कोई नहीं आएगा। बाहर का उस वक्त का मतलब था कि कोई सरकारी नहीं आएगा, क्योंकि सरकारी तंत्र में ये होता है कि वो आते हैं और अपने डिसीजन थोपते हैं। दे डिड नॉट अलाउ इट। और ग्राम सभा को अगर बाहर से कोई कंसल्टेशन लेना है, सलाह लेना है, तो वह अभ्यास मंडल के रूप में लिया जाएगा। और फिर अभ्यास मंडल फॉर्मुलेट हुआ। आज के अभ्यास मंडल में गोंडवाना यूनिवर्सिटी भी है, गोंडवाना यूनिवर्सिटी के लोग हैं, मोहन हीराबाई हीरालाल है, बाहर के कई सारे लोग हैं जिनसे विषयों पे बात की जाती है और फिर उन विषयों को लेकर ग्राम सभाओं में निर्णय होता है। आज तक ग्राम सभाओं के सारे निर्णय सार्वमत से हुए हैं, कभी भी बहुमत से निर्णय नहीं हुए। और जब भी निर्णय लिया जाता है उसमें कोई विरोध होता है तो उसके लिए वेट किया जाता है। दे कन्विंस हिम। ऐसे नहीं होता है कि भाई चलो हम 100 लोग हैं उनमें से 51 लोगों ने वोट दे दिया तो यह निर्णय हो गया, ऐसे नहीं होता है। अगर कोई कहता है कि मेरा इस निर्णय को विरोध है तो उसकी बात रखी जाती है। कन्विंस और गेट कन्विंस्ड, ये दो में से कोई तो चीज़ होती है और वह निर्णय होता है। और खुशी की बात यह है कि यह महिलाओं ने किया है। दूसरा उदाहरण है कुमारीबाई जामकातन। ये नाम शायद किसी, आप अगर इंटरनेट पे ढूंढोगे कहीं नहीं मिलेगा। ये अकेली महिला है, यह 6 गांवों की सरपंच है। 6 गांवों की सरपंच अकेली महिला है। पहले बाइसिकल पे जाती थी और मोटरसाइकिल पे जाती है। तो मोटरसाइकिल पे 6 गाँव में घूमती है एंड शी लुक्स आफ्टर द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ ऑल दी 6 गाँव ग्राम सभा एंड सक्सेसफुली डज इट। वहाँ पे चाइल्ड लेबर नहीं है, वहाँ पे एजुकेशन का रेट सबसे ज़्यादा है, वहाँ पे सबको फूड मिलता है, वहाँ शराब नहीं बेची जाती है। ये अकेली कुमारीबाई जामकातन और उनकी टीम ने, डॉक्टर शुभदा देशमुख इज जस्ट लीडिंग द वे, बट कुमारीबाई जामकातन ने जो कर दिखाया है वो शायद कहीं और पॉसिबल नहीं हो पाया। एंड शी हैज़ एम्पावर्ड ऑल द वुमेन थ्रू दिस वुमेन सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप। मुझे इस फोरम से ये कहना है कि इस तरह की क्रांति अगर आदिवासी समाज के महिलाओं में धीरे धीरे आती है तो यह समाज निश्चित रूप से मुख्य धारा में आ जाएगा। दूसरा इशू ये है, VJNT की जो महिलाएं होते हैं, हम जानते हैं कि VJNT ग्रुप की जो महिलाएं लोग होते हैं वो अक्सर घूमते रहते हैं। दे आर कंटिन्यूसली मूविंग फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर, और वहाँ पे अपनी झुग्गी झोपड़ी डालते हैं। वो अपना मैदान देखते हैं और वहाँ पे झुग्गी झोपड़ी डालते हैं। एंड व्हेन दे सेट अप देयर हट, कैन यू इमेजिन द काइंड ऑफ सफरिंग वीमेन पास थ्रू। उनकी महिलाएं जो होती है वो क्या सफरिंग उनका होता होगा। हम तो बहुत अच्छे मकानों में रहते हैं, शहरों में रहते हैं, सारी सुविधाएं रहती है। कैन वी इमेजिन ए हाउस विदाउट ए वॉशरूम या टॉयलेट, जो कि उनके यहाँ होता है। एक झुग्गी झोपड़ी डालते हैं, कुछ नहीं होता है। वो महिलाएं क्या करती होगी, हाउ दे आर रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू देयर नेचर्स कॉल्स। कुछ सोचा इसके बारे में? यूनिवर्सिटी ने कुछ पहला भी उसमें किया है। और ऐसे जहाँ पे भी VJNT लोगों के ये सारे जमाव रहेंगे, वहाँ पे हम लोगों ने अभी मोबाइल बायो टॉयलेट्स ऐसा एक कंसेप्ट लाया है और उसमें अभी हम काम कर रहे हैं। व्हाट इज नीडेड इज द इंटरवेंशन, नॉट द सपोर्ट। यूनिवर्सिटी आल्सो ट्राइड द इनपुट ड्रिवन इंटरवेंशंस, बट ऑल इनपुट ड्रिवन इंटरवेंशंस फेल्ड। जहाँ पे भी हमने सोचा कि हम इनको पैसा देंगे और ये काम होगा, नहीं हुआ। हमने फिर शुरू किया सक्षमीकरण, एम्पावरिंग, स्ट्रेंथनिंग द ग्राम सभा। और 1432 ग्राम सभाओं में से, तो गढ़चिरौली जिलों में 1432 ग्राम सभाएं हैं, उसमें से 278 ग्राम सभाओं के साथ हमारा अभी MOU हो चुका है। और उसमें से 78 ग्राम सभाओं का हमारा ट्रेनिंग कंप्लीट हो चुका है। ट्रेनिंग की बात मैं आपको बता दूँ, द नंबर ऑफ पार्टिसिपेंट्स इन द ट्रेनिंग आर ओवररन बाय द फीमेल। 68% पार्टिसिपेंट महिलाएं हैं। और क्या इफेक्ट हुआ इस बार का ही मेंढा लेखा का ही उदाहरण लीजिए कि जो हमने उनको पैसा एक्ट पढ़ाया, फॉरेस्ट राइट एक्ट पढ़ाया, फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्स राइट एक्ट पढ़ाया, उनको पता चला कि हाँ ये हमारा हक है। मैं एक मिनट और लूँगा एंड देन आई विल कंक्लूड। ये हमारा हक है। इस बार जब महुआ का सीज़न शुरू हुआ मार्च महीने में, 3 मार्च को महुआ का सीज़न शुरू होता है और 15 मार्च से लोग महुआ बेचना कलेक्ट करना शुरू कर देते हैं। अब 3 मार्च से 15 मार्च क्या करते हैं, तो पोला मनाते हैं। पोला क्या है, छुट्टी है। अब क्यों नहीं, देखिए उनकी समझ कितनी अच्छी होती है। वो 3 मार्च से 15 मार्च तक जंगल में इसलिए नहीं जाते कि तब तक जो भी महुआ नीचे गिरेगा वो सारा जंगल के जितने भी प्राणी होते हैं, पंछी होते हैं, उनके लिए रहेगा। उसके बाद बचा हुआ ग्राम सभाओं के लिए रहेगा। अब इससे क्या होता है, एक नेचर कैसा बहता है। देखिए इसके पहले जब बाम्बू इंडस्ट्री तोड़ के ले जाती थी तो जंगल कम हो रहे थे। पिछले 3 साल से बाम्बू ग्राम सभाएं तोड़ रही तो जंगल बढ़ रहे हैं। 78% का जंगल 75% हो गया। इस बार की सेंसस देखी, ट्री सेंसस जब लिया तो इट इज 76.8%, 1.5%, 1.8% जंगल बढ़ गया। कैसे बढ़ा, तो ये जो इनकी साइंटिफिक समझ है, ये 12 दिन जंगल में नहीं जाते, तब तक पंछी या महुआ को खाते हैं और महुआ के जो बीज रहते हैं वो पंछी को पेट में जाके उनके विष्ठा के थ्रू सारे जंगल में बिखरते हैं और पेड़ फिर से उगना शुरू हो जाते हैं। जंगल ऐसे बढ़ता है। तो ये लोगों ने महुआ कलेक्ट किया और इस बात तो समझाया था कि भाई FRA में ये है, फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्स राइट पे आपका अधिकार है। इन महिलाओं ने बोला कि नहीं, इस बार हम ठेकेदारों को अभी नहीं बेचेंगे, क्योंकि ठेकेदारों ने रेट दिया था 35 रुपया ऑफर रेट, और उन्होंने 1 महीना वेट किया, स्टोर करके रखा। यूनिवर्सिटी हेल्प देम, जिला प्रशासन ने हेल्प किया। हमने हमारा माइनर फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस ट्रेनिंग का ग्रुप बनाया है जिला प्रशासन के साथ, उनको स्टोरेज के लिए हेल्प किया और 1 महीने बाद महुआ बेचा तो दे गॉट द रेट ऑफ 43 रुपीज़। 35 रुपये से 48 रुपये, मतलब 8 रुपया उनका बढ़ गया। मतलब अराउंड 20-25% राइज इन द रेवेन्यू ऑफ ग्राम सभा उनका हो गया। दिस वॉज द फर्स्ट आउटपुट और द आउटकम ऑफ द ट्रेनिंग वी हैड कंडक्टेड। और ये सब महिलाओं ने किया, उनके सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप ने किया। सो व्हाट वी नीड is not the intervention in the form of the resources but intervention in the form of the सक्षमीकरण। अभी जैसे मैं अपने यूनिवर्सिटी के उदाहरण बताता हूँ। डॉक्टर बंड was the head of our admission department and you can just ask her what wonder she and her team has played। पिछले बार हमारे यहाँ कुछ 200-250 PGTD के एडमिशन थे, इस बार 1220 एडमिशन हुए। आई डोंट नो व्हाट वंडर दे हैव प्लेड। इन महिलाओं ने क्या वंडर किया, आई डोंट नो। बट और फिर हमने क्या किया कि हमको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा महिलाओं को लाना था। महिलाओं के लिए एजुकेशन फ्री कर दिया, हॉस्टल फ्री कर दिया, अभी फूड फ्री करेंगे, अभी उनके लिए साइकिल देंगे। आई टेल यू, साइकिल प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन द एजुकेशन ऑफ ए गर्ल। उनको घर से यूनिवर्सिटी तक आने में या घर से स्कूल तक आने में कोई वाहन ही नहीं होता है। ST, आप महाराष्ट्र में ST का स्ट्राइक था 6 महीने तक, बच्चे कैसे आएंगे कॉलेजों में, स्कूल में? प्राइवेट बसेस तो पुसाती नहीं है, दे कैन नॉट अफोर्ड द फेयर ऑफ प्राइवेट बसेस, हाउ विल दे कम टू द यूनिवर्सिटी? साइकिल प्लेज ए मेजर रोल। अभी यूनिवर्सिटी ने खुद साइकिल खरीदने का फैसला किया है और इन बच्चियों को हम साइकिल देंगे। मुझे लगता है कि मैडम की एडमिशन अगली बार दुगनी हो जाएगी। तो महिलाएं इस तरह का काम करती है। व्हाट इज नीडेड, आई विल कंक्लूड इन लास्ट मिनट, व्हाट इज नीडेड is to look after the interventions which are not in the form of the input but the interventions which are in the form of the sakshamikaram of these groups। इनको हमको ज्ञान देना, इनको समझाना है। ये हेल्प अगर हम इनकी कर देंगे तो दे विल प्ले वंडर्स। एंड आई टेल यू, देयर आर 12.72 crores tribals in this country only, out of which 6 crore are female। अब ये 6 करोड़ महिलाएं अगर हमारी मुख्य धारा में नहीं आती है तो हाउ डू वी प्लान टू बिकम द $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी? इतने सारे लोगों को एक्सक्लूड करके हम $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी बन सकते हैं क्या? और अगर बन भी गए तो उसके कोई मायने रहेंगे क्या? we cannot afford to overlook this amount of people। This is number 1। and number 2, if these people start working, ये महिलाएं अगर काम करना शुरू कर देती है और हमारे GDP में कंट्रीब्यूट करना शुरू कर देती है, तो हमने जो फोरसी किया है, वॉट एवर वी हैव फोरसीन कि बाय दिस टाइम वी विल बिकम ए 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी, उससे पहले ही हम 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी हो जाएंगे। तो these kind of interventions are needed। In nutshell, I would like to say that women need the empowerment in the form of effective interventions, not in the form of inputs but in the form of knowledge, and in the knowledge driven economy, if the women particularly of the downtrodden group are given proper guidance and the training, this country will become a 5 trillion economy in a very short time. Thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to address the August gathering. Thank you.
Prashant Shri Bokare ji, your deliberation was fantastic, and we always give stress to the collaborative and synchronized efforts of universities, government, and the local indigenous knowledge of women. In Uttarakhand also, we have seen that in whatever scheme the government has taken indigenous knowledge or output from the hill women, those schemes are successful. And if you just frame the schemes without asking them, as he has given the solutions of Maua and increasing the forest cover, it is already proved that the old age knowledge of women, especially they are living in the remote part or the downtrodden, as he said, the tribal women, your scheme will be a successful scheme for sure. And the intervention, this is we have to learn as a university, that in the scheme where there will be giving them the skill training, it is important. And most of the time the university feel that we don't have resources, how can we do this, and how can we invite them, what we can do, how can we ask them to stay in our hostels or in our guest rooms. So then वो पूरा नहीं हो पाता. And if we are here as professors, as trainers, as teachers of management, of economics, of other subjects as well, so we can give them training in collaboration with the government, because government को कोसने से कुछ नहीं होना. गवर्नमेंट के लिए हम ही लोगों ने पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशन करना है, उनको बताना है कि दिस इज़ द पॉलिसी और ये इस तरीके से ग्राउंड में जा सकती है, क्योंकि ये माना जाता है कि हम लोग एकेडमिक काम कर रहे हैं और हम उन डाउन ट्रॉडन के साथ मिलके काम कर रहे हैं, हमें उनकी समस्याओं का पता है. क्लोज डोर में अब नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में किसी भी इंस्टीट्यूशन का सर्वाइवल नहीं है. थैंक यू सो मच Professor Bokare. Your this inputs are really practical. आपने वो काम किया है, आपने इतनी ग्राम सभाओं में काम किया है और women को साथ लेके काम किया, और आपने जो ये डेटा दिया कि 6 करोड़ women को अगर आप कोई ट्रेनिंग नहीं दे रहे हैं, उनके नॉलेज भी नहीं ले रहे हैं, कोई एक कोलैबोरेटिव प्लेटफॉर्म भी नहीं बना है, तो भारत 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी का जो सपना है वो दूर होता जाएगा. और ऐसे में हम 5 के बदले 10 ट्रिलियन हो सकते हैं, लेकिन बशर्ते हम अपनी वो विमेन जिनको हम हिल विमेन को साइंटिस्ट विमेन पहले से कहते हैं, दे आर साइंटिस्ट, उनको पता है एग्रीकल्चर कैसे करना है, कब बोना है, कब काटना है, पानी कैसे अरेंज करना है. सो हार्डशिप्स में वो नॉलेज आता है, उस नॉलेज का हम फ़ायदा नहीं उठाएंगे तो इन आइसोलेशन कोई भी स्कीम सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो पाएगी. आपका डेलिब्रेशन बहुत ही प्रैक्टिकल था एंड इट वाज वेरी वेरी यूजफुल. सो आई थिंक 2 मिनट पुरोहित जी हमने ज़्यादा लिए हैं. नाउ थैंक यू सो मच. हमारा सेशन ऑफ एंड नाउ द नेक्स्ट सेशन विल बी देयर. Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Nanda. Thank you so much.
On behalf of Doon University and on my personal behalf, I, Dr. Malashikha, coordinator of this session, would like to extend my deepest gratitude to the panel led by the chair, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Doon University, Professor Surekha Dangwal. Our most sincere gratitude to the 2 eminent speakers of the session, Professor Vednanda ji. Thank you, sir, for speaking at length on role of and status of women across the globe. And thank you, Professor Prashant Shri Bokare ji, Vice Chancellor, Gondwana University, for speaking at length about status of women in remote areas of India and women empowerment of those women who find themselves at the intersections of caste, creed. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much to the IT support team, to the video recording team, and to the stage decoration team. Thank you to the audience. Thank you very much, all of you. Have a nice day.
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर मालाशिखा जी. ये जो पहला विशेष सत्र था वो यहाँ पे संपन्न हुआ. इसके रिपोर्टर डॉक्टर अभिजीत सहाय और यशस्वी पंचरथ आप अपनी सभी रिपोर्टर्स अपनी रिपोर्ट सबमिट कर देंगे। अब हमारे सामने आप जो अगले सत्र हैं वो 4 पैरेलल सेशंस हैं। इस सत्र में इस सभागार में संविधा जो है वो मेधा पर है और इसके कोऑर्डिनेटर हैं डॉक्टर अंजलि वर्मा, प्रोफेसर हैं डोईवाला पीजी कॉलेज में, और सत्र की को कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर अदिति बिष्ट, दून विश्वविद्यालय। कृपया मंच की सज्जा देख लीजिए और गवर्नर साहब की चेयर को पीछे कर दीजिए। इस सत्र के चेयरमैन हैं डॉक्टर शरद रेणु शर्मा जी, आप मंच पर आमंत्रित हैं। को चेयर प्रोफेसर हर्ष डोभाल और को चेयर प्रोफेसर प्राची पाठक, दून यूनिवर्सिटी, मंच पर कृपया अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। इस सत्र में टोटल 10 शोध पत्र प्रस्तुत होंगे और ये जो ऑनलाइन प्रेजेंटेशंस हैं उनको हम पहले करेंगे, ऑफलाइन को बाद में करेंगे। कोऑर्डिनेटर प्रोफेसर अंजलि वर्मा, को कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर अदिति बिष्ट, चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर शरद रेणु शर्मा, को चेयर प्रोफेसर हर्ष डोभाल, प्रोफेसर प्राची पाठक और रिपोर्टियर शालिनी बर्तवाल और विभा स्वरूप। इसके अलावा जो कॉन्फ्रेंस हॉल में दूसरी संविधा है श्री, उसकी चेयर हैं प्रोफेसर अलका इनामदार, को चेयर योगिनी घारे, रजिस्ट्रार हैं सोलापुर विश्वविद्यालय में। उसकी सेशन कोऑर्डिनेटर हैं डॉक्टर चारू द्विवेदी, को कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर गजाला खान, को चेयर हैं प्रोफेसर अरुंधति नीनावे और रिपोर्टर हैं सोनू कौर और शुभम शाह। जो तीसरा पैरेलल है सेशन संविधा